to the channel. Today we are talking about Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life on the Nintendo Switch. At the time of this recording, it came out just a few days ago, and I gotta say, this game is pretty divisive amongst people. I was streaming this game the other day, and a lot of people were saying, Pat, would I like this game? Should I play it? What is there to do? I don't think I'd like it. So I wanted to make this video to kind of answer some of those questions. So let's get started. So I think the first thing that you should know is that this is a remake of a GameCube game, Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life. And I think that's important to know because this is very different from a lot of modern farming games where relationship building kind of takes a front seat and some of the things like farming and things like that kind of take a back seat. There's not a ton of in-depth mechanics in this game, and I think it's because it's like a remake of an older game, so that's just important to know. Now, this game has always been unique compared to other farming games because, again, the social aspect is the most important part. So much so that your character actually ages the more that you play this game. And depending on the year that you're in, like the game plays out in chapters. So like year 2 is chapter 2 of your life. So I think that that's always been a unique mechanic in this game. It really sort of makes you, gives you kind of like a bond with your character and some of the other characters that live in the town because time is the thing, people age, things happen. I won't give away things, but yeah, you know what I mean. So the first thing I want to start with, and I'll go over like what you can do in this game, but the first thing I want to talk about is the performance and the visuals in this game. I feel like when you're talking about a Nintendo Switch game, you really want to know, does this game run well? Does it look good? And I'm happy to say it really does. This game performs really nicely. It's a smooth experience on the Nintendo Switch, and that can definitely make or break a game, any kind of game. I mean, it doesn't have to be a farming game, but that is definitely a make or break for me. But the performance of this game, as it should, it's not a very demanding game, but it runs great. It looks great. I think the visuals look really good. I think that, you know, obviously visuals, art in general is definitely, you know, up to the person viewing it, but I do think that this game looks good. It's very colorful, and it's super cute. So I like the style of it. It runs great, and that's one of the most important things for me. In terms of gameplay, and I'll do relationship stuff last because that's like the major part of this game, but let's go over what you can do in this game first of all. So it is a farming game. You can farm. That's like that's a given right there. So I will say that, yeah, there is farming in this game, but it's not super in-depth. You can do pretty much what you expect. You can plant the crops, you can water the crops, you can harvest the crops, you can sell the crops, you can gift the crops and produce to villagers, and that's pretty much where it ends. Obviously, depending on what crop you're growing, depends on what season. So for example, like sweet potatoes can only grow in the fall. That makes sense. Whereas like turnips can grow from like, I think it's the spring to the fall. So you kind of have to be strategic on that front. You only have 2 areas to grow crops. I think a third one unlocks later in the game. There's also fruit trees that you can grow. And then later in the game, you can actually make hybrids. And there's actually some pretty cool crops that you can make. You can make like glowing crops later in the game, but that comes like much later in the game. But the farming in general is just very basic. And yeah, I just want to set that expectation. There's also animals that you can take care of. These animals, again, there's not a lot of variety here, but you have cows, you have chickens, sheep, there's goats in this game. You can also have a horse that you ride. And these animals, as you expect, you can pet them. Like a cow, you can obviously milk and get the milk from it. Sheep, you can sell the wool. Chickens lay eggs. We all know this stuff, but it's very basic. There's not a ton to it. You can breed your animals. But yeah, I mean, farming and taking care of animals is just a small part of this game. And I think that might be confusing for some people because you think of Harvest Moon, you think of farming games, and you're like, well, I'm going to be doing a lot of farming. And you are going to, but that's not going to take up like all of the game. Other types of gameplay that you can expect, you can fish. And again, fishing isn't super in depth, but you can catch different fish in the pond, in the rivers, in the ocean that you're near. Also, depending on what season you're in, you can catch different kind of fish. And depending on what level fishing rod you have, because you can upgrade your tools and stuff, you can catch different kinds of fish. So it's not super in-depth, but it's just enough where it's enjoyable. You just walk up to the water, you hit Y, you cast your fishing rod out, and then when the fish bites and you see the exclamation point, you hit Y again, you catch the fish. Not anything groundbreaking, but it works. You can also walk around your town and collect different forgeables. You can collect mushrooms, flowers, different plants and weeds and stuff like that. You will be gifting these to villagers. There's also mini games that you can play. There's a few mini games that you can play. Certain characters, like these two old guys, they're twins, and you can play like this puzzle game where you have to capture the most amount of the board, and if you win, they give you a prize. You can do that daily, I think, as well. There's also cooking, albeit it's not super involved. You collect recipes, and if you have the ingredients to make the recipe, you can cook, you can sell things. There is a mechanic where you can set up your own shop. So basically there's this designated area in the town, and if the traveling merchant isn't there, you can set up your own shop and sell your own goods to people in the town. Again, it's not super in-depth like most of this game, but you can set up and sell your goods. I did mention the traveling merchant. He comes on the 3rd and the 8th of each month. Each month is 10 days, which might not seem like a lot, but the days are long. We'll get to that in a second. But there is a traveling merchant who sells different tool upgrades and costumes and things like that. Let's go back to the days for a second, because this is another make or break thing for me, at least in farming games. Each day, I believe, takes 20 minutes in real life time. So each day is 20 minutes, and there are 10 days in a season. And for me, at least, I don't know about you, but this can make or break a farm game. So if I'm playing a farming game and the days go by super fast, I'm not really too invested in it because I feel like I can't do what I want. Whereas the other side of the coin, if days are too long, then I kind of get bored of the game. I think this is a very nice balance. So 20 minutes is perfect, especially because there's not a ton to do in this game. You will get everything you want done. The biggest thing, though, about this game, and I think what sets it apart from a lot of other games, is the relationship stuff. So there are 8 eligible bachelors. There's 8 male and 8 female. This game does introduce same-sex marriage. So, if you're a boy, you can date a boy. You can do whatever you want. There is only 8, though, which, kind of slims down your pickings. But I feel like all of the characters are very endearing. If you turn this game on and start playing it right from the start, you might think that the characters are boring. And you know what? You might be right. But as you get to know them, that's when a lot of their backstory and things come out. So there's a lot of characters that just don't want anything to do with you, pretty much. But as you gift them and as you grow relationships with them, you will unlock different cutscenes or these different events that play out. And you can learn a lot about these characters. So, for example, there's a character, Lumina, who is always playing her piano. She lives in, the only mansion in town. As you talk to her, you realize that she doesn't really like playing the piano as much, and she would want to do her own thing. Meanwhile, there's another character, Cecilia, who is, kind of this nice farm girl, but she doesn't like the fact that she is basically someone is arranging a marriage for her. She kind of wants to find that special person. Molly, who I'm romancing in my game, she is a city girl and she moved here and she still doesn't think that she belongs. She's trying to find herself. These are all very relatable, ideas and things like that. So the characters, for me at first, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but the more that I talked to them, the more that I gifted, they really start to come in their own. And I think everyone is very unique in that sense. So this game is unique in the fact that at the end of the first year, you actually have to get married. And you might be thinking, Pat, there's only 10 days in a season, 4 seasons in the first year, 40 total days. How am I going to, meet the person and grow a relationship? It is pretty easy to make a relationship with someone. You have to get married, like I said, because the game plays out in chapters. So the first chapter, you're kind of meeting everyone. You're getting married. The second chapter, you have a kid. There's more life events that I won't spoil. And there's life events that happen to the people in town too that I won't spoil. That's all I'll say. But I think that level of character development and stuff is what always made me love this game, even back on the GameCube. And it's cool seeing, a person that you were like trying to date and trying to gift and trying to impress then become your family. It's kind of cool. There are, of course, other characters in the town too that you can't date or romance, but they're also like super friendly and interesting as well. There's like this mad scientist. There's just some weird characters in this game. I will say, if you are a completionist though, this game might be up your alley because there's not like a traditional museum or something like in Stardew or Animal Crossing where you're donating fossils and bugs and creating this museum. But there is an in-game encyclopedia that lets you track all of the fish, and there's also things called wonders. You have to do like certain things in the game. So there's actually a lot to collect in this game. There's recipes, there's records, there's outfits to collect. You have to plant all the crops. Like you have to collect everything, all the animals and things like that. So if you're a completionist and you like lists and crossing off things, this could be a good game for you as well. So this game is $49.99 on the eShop. There is also a physical version that is $10 more, so it's $59.99. The physical version also comes with this little goat plush and this like cloth poster. And I think this is where the divide starts with this game. And I wanted to talk a little bit about my opinion on the price. I think $49.99 is fair. I really do. Now, I think a good sweet spot for this game would have been $39.99. But if this game is on sale for like $20, and I have seen all of the other Story of Seasons games go as low as $20, $30, I think at that price, it's a no-brainer. But you really have to look at this game at face value. It is a remake of a GameCube game. I think it was on the PS2 as well, but it's a remake of an older game. That means that the mechanics aren't as fleshed out as a lot of modern farming games. And certain things that you might be used to, like, I know, like in Stardew and stuff like that, if you go in the dungeon, you're like fighting different monsters and collecting artifacts and things like that. It doesn't have that exciting gameplay that I think a lot of other games do, but at its core, it is a true, cozy, relaxing experience. And not a lot of games can say that. I feel like there are a lot of farming games that you're just constantly going, and you don't really have a, time to just truly relax. And this game, I think, is the ultimate. It's so good. And don't even get me started on the seasons. Of course, we have spring, summer, fall, winter. The map changes gradually. It's eye candy. I really do enjoy this game. So what do I think? Should you buy this game? Should you skip this game? Again, I'm going to go back to what I've been saying the whole time. It is a very slow-paced, relationship-heavy, farming kind of takes the background type of game. I do think it's a special game and people should experience this. It's whether you want to pick it up now or wait for a sale. But yeah, I definitely think I would recommend this. And judging by the gameplay and some of the things that I said, I think you guys can make your own decision on, if this is right for you. Again, not an action-packed, crazy experience, but I think it's very memorable and it's one of my favorite farming games. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about the game or different questions in general, just leave them in the comment section below. And I will see you very soon. I'm going to go play more. Molly and I are getting married and we're going to have 10 kids. Or like one.